Okay, guys. So thank you and um, welcome all of you. Joining us for this very important session. Just to set up the background, whereas there is senior executives like any member of C staff, the C suite as they say, if they are here, we make sure that we have a session with the extended team, not only their own function or their own department, but more members. So that's our kind of agreed rule, and we are following that. Um Today's session, I want to kind of start with this background that sometime I'm asked that I treat seniors in a slightly different way sometime. Okay. uh, so I want to give that 30-second explanation. uh, so me as a person, so me as Vaibhav, uh, my father had two more brothers, so total three brothers. Family was there, but my grandfather was not living with my father. That's what happened in India. Typically, the grandfather live with with the family, but my grandfather was living with other brothers. So I was always having a gap that the grandfather is not with my family or like not with us. And I used to feel sometimes that I should have an elder brother. So that was gap number two. And whatever way, like 10 years back, my father passed away. So that became gap number three. So now I am always searching for someone senior. Okay, that's where my life is. So whenever I find or found someone senior who is a bit elder and I feel good, so I don't think professionally then. I just cut all those professional connections. I go talk personally. I'm okay. Even in escalation, I don't feel very bad. So that is the way I behave. And that's the way I think I treat people like Wolfgang or Sandeep or, Dev or Jonathan. Okay, that's the way I behave. So now with that background, let's start that what happened in January 2019, that Jonathan was presenting in sales kickoff in Vienna, and he shared a couple of slides. One was about coach John Wooden. This was first time I was hearing or listening to this name. And then he shared a particular picture of a triangle which was called as pyramid of success. So long story short, it's a very useful framework or thought process. So we are going to go through it. Some questions already are listed down, and we'll talk to Jonathan about some of the questions. Uh, just one more minute about Coach John Wooden. So as you can see in Wikipedia, born in 1910. So almost 100 years or 110 years before. So it's slightly, you can say, old style or old school thought process, but very, very fundamental to today or many more years in future. One of the important part, and as Yogesh will click on this list of championships. So he was a basketball coach in UCLA, from where Jonathan is also, part of that school. So in UCLA, you see there is a record. So in those years, they won 10 championship out of 12, and this was a very competitive sport back then and now as well. Uh, and you can see some of the wins are like 1972, 73, like 30-0, 30-0. So all of the games they won. So they were kind of dominating, right? And because of this, Coach Wooden is one of the best coach in the world. That's how he is regarded. And now we come to the picture that he, gave a framework which is called as pyramid of success, which is here. And in 1 hour, we cannot discuss everything. So obviously, we will kind of cut down to few aspects. So I have written down few questions. I'll go through them one by one, in a conversation style, and we'll get some inputs from Jonathan. Jonathan will also share that he has met Coach John Wooden. He's having a signed copy of the pyramid that you all will be able to see. In the morning, we already saw it. I think Subrato can feel it, kind of almost very close. That's the discussion was there. So first question, Jonathan, and we have to live with one mic. So first question, Jonathan, that this pyramid of success, is it for an individual or is it for a team? So who can utilize it?
Well, thank you, Vaibhav. I'm always happy if I can talk about Coach Wooden, who was an amazing person and took his years of hard work and incredible success and then was a bit of a philosopher and wanted to be, and was a teacher. I think he enjoyed teaching, and so he spent a lot of time thinking about what goes into success and then tried to capture that in a form that he could use to share with others, and that's how he got to this pyramid. And I think that, to answer your question, he participated in team sports for much of his life. One of the funny things that most people don't know is his favorite sport growing up actually was American baseball, not basketball. And he was a great athlete. He would have been a great baseball player too. But he succeeded more at basketball and became a coach of basketball. And in sports, a team is only successful through the joint efforts of the individuals. And I think that when Coach Wooden put this together, the way I see it is that this is communication directly to us as individuals on how we can be personally successful. But for a team, and even for personal success in many endeavors, for us to succeed are the people around us that are part of our lives. We must also help to succeed and work with them to succeed. So I think it actually addresses both. It is for personal success and team success. And I would actually put them in that order because it's probably even how we as individuals, we do have to worry about our personal success first, but then we need to know that that is tied directly to, how we work with the team. We aren't going to succeed as individuals if we're just selfish. And some of the elements here kind of point that out, that you can't just be selfish to get personal success.
Thank you. So I think it was very clear reply. I think we got it. Second question before going to few blocks. We'll not go through every blocks here, but few are very, very important. One final question, Jonathan, is that whether success, are we talking about a finite success, meaning success in this session, or for example, success in Jorfix meeting that we conducted yesterday? Or are we thinking of success as a process here when we are talking about this pyramid? Is it a moment of success of setting up something and then thanking everybody that, okay, the success is achieved? Or is it more of a process orientation?
Yeah, I think the pyramid and the philosophy reflected here is one of achieving a long-term success and a level of living that is then there with you every single day. So as we work on the different elements that are reflected in the pyramid, as we get stronger in each one of those elements, our overall capability for success becomes greater, and then that will be reflected in greater success in the individual events. So you pointed out the incredible team success and game by game success that his basketball teams ended up having over that was, by the way, the last 12 years of his career. And he, at the very end, having won his 12th championship or his 10th championship over 12 years, he retired at the end of that and never coached again. But that was the culmination of about 25 years. It took many years to get to that level, but at that point, then every single game all the work that had gone in for him over 25 years and for his team game by game, the level they achieved resulted in individual game by game, minute by minute success. So it isn't about just one thing, it's about building to a better level where then having built to that level, you will have greater success event by event, day by day.
Thanks, Jonathan. Now we try to cover few blocks of this pyramid. This is like a framework, and it starts from the bottom layer, and from bottom to top, the whole pyramid is built. I think that's how the pyramid should be built, from bottom to top. So we'll go through a couple of qualities. For my personal choice, I kind of selected those qualities which I felt during the year or during last 3-4 years, which I think are useful as per my perspective. So one of this first, the left-hand corner, the first, block, difficult spelling, industriousness. Okay, that's one which is told here. It of course explains if you open the pyramid, but I would like to listen from Jonathan about it. That what is all about that,
Yeah, it's an interesting English word. I think that I do think that Coach Wooden thought long and hard and chose these words very carefully. But I think that as is reflected here, it's this word reflects the willingness to apply oneself and work hard, and that without that resolve, that if we're going to succeed in any field, in any sport, in any element, we're going to have to be willing to work at it. That I guess the opposite of this would be things like laziness or slothfulness, and so industriousness is the opposite of that, and it's a fundamental, as you say, bottom layer building block to be willing to work hard, knowing that that's what it will take to build success. Part of what will build success.
Yes, thanks, Jonathan. And I think, the search for me personally is, there are a few things that we go school and colleges and we try to learn, and we feel that we don't know them. And then one day after going to the college, getting the degree, we feel that we know them after doing that. Okay. Those are the things which we feel are most important or are told to us that are most important. But later on, we feel that there are few more things, there are few additional elements which are required as well. Okay. And necessarily, Jonathan, we see that not everyone who has got great marks in college are hugely successful. So it's not just that pyramid, there are more elements, and the whole discussion today is about those more elements which we feel sometimes are taken for granted sometime. For example, on the right hand side there's one more block called enthusiasm. Right now, if you ask me, it's like for me it kind of feels like it's not a skill, right? It's very easy, at least for me, to be enthusiastic. I don't know why. Is it a nature or comes from within or from wherever? But I'm so happy that enthusiasm is a skill required for success. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to go to university to learn enthusiasm, right? And some of us, and I have a lot of discussion with all of you. I will not take names, but it's a necessity, like, to have enthusiasm in success. Okay. And it's told by Coach John Wooden, not by me. Okay. So Jonathan, what you would say about enthusiasm?
I think as you would read here, and by the way, this little book is available. You can, Coach Wooden's philosophy is captured in a bunch of very readable, not so big books. And as he explains here, not only did he think really carefully about the words and the fact that he put it in a pyramid that builds to a whole set of capabilities for personal success, but he thought really carefully about where he placed these different things. And he mentions here that it wasn't random that he put industriousness on one side on the bottom and enthusiasm on the other, because those are kind of, he's saying these are the two key building elements to enable you to future success. Hard work and the willingness to work hard being one of them, but if you don't actually have some level of enthusiasm and excitement to go with that ethic of hard work, you're not going to have enough energy and interest to stick with it, because building to success is not something that happens quickly. It takes many other elements, as we're going to get into, and it takes time. So he was saying this enthusiasm and industriousness go together, and you need both. So I think for us, the lesson also, if you think about our lives and things we undertake to be successful, such as our careers, you have to go in with a willingness to work hard, but you should pick something or a group to be with that also that you have enthusiasm about and excitement, so that you'll, because just hard work if we just work hard and we don't have enthusiasm, we burn out.
Thank you. And if we go back to the pyramid and we see on the first row, the centerpiece, is something which again feels like unprofessional almost. Okay, I mean, professionalism we sometimes feel is like business, money, negotiations, a lot of trade, CTCs and compensations, right? But the centerpiece for success is coming as loyalty, very, very non-professional word for me, I would say. Okay, loyalty means having a connection, I would say, in personal perspective with something. Okay, so I'm loyal to someone. So Jonathan, what is the context of loyalty in this career, and especially professional career? I mean, especially with the team spirit, where we are trying to set up a team here, how and where loyalty is coming into picture?
So once again, I think we know in Coach Wooden's mind, loyalty was very important, because he placed it in the center at the bottom, meaning a key building block to success. And particularly loyalty, I think, is related to endeavors where you do need to work with a team, right? So, and if you read the quotes, such as the one behind us from Coach Wooden, when he talks about loyalty, it's usually in the context of a group of people working together, and which is really most endeavors in our lives. And what's interesting is that to him, what he was saying here is that the group of people need to be loyal to each other. And also, he was very careful to point out that that meant even if there's some sort of hierarchy, like in sports, there's the coach and then there's the players, he would always talk about the loyalty of the coach to the players, that the coach needed to be loyal to the players and be caring about their interests, and that would inspire loyalty of the players to the coach and to the team. So having loyalty and bringing loyalty to a group of people inspires loyalty in others. And when you have loyalty in a group, that creates a strong unit. So loyalty is a very important factor of success of a group.
Thanks, Jonathan. Very, very interesting point for me now. Look, there are, I mean, I feel it. I'm a career tester, you know, I was software tester. And for me, achievement was writing test cases, you know, based on the specification, but then finding defects, you know, the output or the essential output of a software tester is how many defects I'm finding, right? So obviously 10 years back when I was working with Amber was a developer, I was a tester, you know, early on, and I used to have a huge fight with him, you know, a tester versus a developer fight, right? And then we see the third dimension to it is the business analyst, or in our world now, product owners. So now they have a tussle, a three-way tussle, whether a tester is correct, a developer is correct, or a product owner is correct. The fourth dimension, we can think of it as a marketing person, that the developer is feeling that he or she is developing, the marketing person is feeling that I'm spreading the message, right? So there are so many different units with different mindsets which are working, and sometimes they are opposite to each other as well, especially the dev or test perspective. And then all of a sudden this word comes that for achieving success we'll need friendship, right? So now this is a whole unit, this is a whole single team. Do I need to have, and let me be some specific names, like do I require to have a friendship of Sumit and Amber? Do I require a friendship of Abhishek Sinha and Abhishek Shukla, meaning the customer success and partner success? Do I need to have this friendship as a mandatory to have this whole unit working really like a successful unit? Uh, so so that friendship is felt like a college thing, you know, that, you know, you go out and watch movies. So where is the professional situation of friendship coming, Jonathan?
So once again, I think the words, having chosen a single word for each block, the words are carefully chosen, but also words have different meanings, and there are different kinds of friendship, for example. So I think in the context here of building success, personal success and group or team success, that friendship refers to friendliness and camaraderie and an attitude towards the group, towards other members of the group, that is open and friendly and welcoming, as opposed to the opposite, which, yes, enemies or anger or combativeness. Yes. So he, I think, is saying that again, one of the base building blocks are these elements of, if you look at what he's got across the base of the pyramid, he has industriousness, enthusiasm, loyalty, friendship, and cooperation, right? So it is the attitude of working with others, being loyal to others, being friendly and open to others, along with the personal ethics of industriousness and the element of enthusiasm that we use to build. And again, one of the points that I know I've read he makes is that as you do these things, it inspires these things in others. And you can't always individually know that just because you're loyal that someone else will be loyal. But again, by being loyal, you will help inspire it. And whether or not other people are loyal, you're going to build your own personal success and feeling of success by knowing that you are doing the best job possible, which is to bring those things to the group.
Thank you. So going back to the pyramid, I think we obviously kind of covered the first layer. We'll go slightly fast from here, and it was planned already, but the script says so. Now, again, we'll touch those elements which sometime are taken for granted, okay? So think of a person who is already hardworking, okay? think of a person who is already having enthusiasm, right? He's very full of energy, ready to do. And then on the second layer, we see a very important quality, which is called initiative. What it means is that, as we always know, that if a project, if a piece of work, if a function, if a headcount is given to me from top down, or whether I am doing something, my initiative, which is creating that work, right? So that's the context which is coming, taking initiative. So, Jonathan, how you would say, so there is a loyal person who is agreeing to everything that you are saying, and there is a person who is loyal, but he is also bringing some plans from him. So, do you feel that the other one is having more probability of success, perhaps because he's having some initiatives added into his persona?
Yes, I think so, that if to succeed in anything, we have to act. We have to step forward and do something and overcome fear of failure, fear of other people's reactions. We have to do take the steps and do the acts that need to be done. So very simply, by including this here, Coach Wooden is pointing out that that's fundamental, that we need to put aside our fears and our concerns and do the work that that we see needs to be done. Yes.
Okay, and now we, if you see here, we are kind of talking the second layer. Let's traverse to the third layer and the heart of pyramid, the perhaps the most important building block. And we all, I think, respect that a lot in our act from many, years where we are here all together, is the skill, right? I think you all can understand that sometimes we feel that we're repeating some names. We are repeating someone name multiple times, that okay, this is a very good resource, is a very good resource, and sometimes I get a feedback that okay, why you are saying these people are good? Because they are skillful. Their skill is the one which we are going behind, right? So skill is at the center, which I think is a given point. So we are selected based on our skills. We are here based on our skills. So that is no doubt is at the center. And I think this is also a kind of a reminder for all of us that we need to make sure that we are taking care of skill at the center always. So I'm kind of skipping that, let's say, as a discussion. Of course, Jonathan can add something into it. When I'm going to a very important point for myself, is the left hand side of the skill, which is condition. Okay. I also have read that book, because Jonathan gifted it to me. By condition, it's almost like practice, as I understood it, like a team practice. Like like you want to go match tomorrow, so you will do practice today and so many months and years before. Conditioning is readiness, I think, when the skill is there, but there is readiness to act for the given thing, meaning for anything that we are doing. It can be development, it can be testing, it can be solving a support ticket, it can be talking to a customer, it can be delivering a keynote. But are we conditioned to do it? If I have not done any keynote in last 10 years, meaning I am not conditioned for it. If I have done it in every regular interval, if I'm doing a demo, how much time it takes for me to set up the demonstration? That's the conditioning, right? So sometimes I feel, Jonathan, that again, I am not that skillful, but I feel that if I can keep my skill in right condition, it's also very good utility, I would say. It compensate a lot, because sometimes we feel that skill is very kind of born, or sometimes some people are not skillful, but those who are repeating and making it practice, condition helps a lot. And that's what my personal thought is. But how you see the conditioning, the conditioning as a quality?
I think this, so that middle layer of three in the middle of the pyramid, kind of, there are, I think, yeah, there's 5 rows in the pyramid, and there's a middle row with 3. That's my personal favorite row in the pyramid. And as I'll explain in a second, I think skill is very interesting because Coach Wooden chose the word skill, and there's another word he could have chosen that you'll notice is not here, and that word is talent. And so sometimes people think skill and talent are the same thing, but what I think Coach Wooden was getting at with skill is that it's not something you're born with. It's not just the innate talent you have to do something. So like in basketball, some people are born with incredible natural talent and physical abilities, but skill is something you develop through hard work and can improve with practice. So he said you need skill. It's right in the middle of the entire pyramid, but skill itself developed through repetition and hard work isn't enough. You also need, and right next to it, right together with it, you need condition, which is not only developing the skill, but working on the ability to do that in the different scenarios in which it's needed, and making sure you could do that. So you could have the skill, but in basketball, if you don't have the condition, then your skills, you play 48 minutes in a game, and after 45 minutes, you're too exhausted. So now your skill doesn't matter. You don't have the condition. And in our jobs, for example, you could develop the skill, but if you haven't developed how to use it in different situations and in different environments and worked enough on the repetition of it, then you may forget the skill, or because of stress or another situation, not be able to do it, to use it. So you need to put condition and think about what it takes to condition yourself to succeed, as well as developing the skills to succeed. But then even those two, this is why I love this layer, even those two together aren't enough. Because if you do those in isolation and you just worry about yourself, you may not be helping the group. You may, if you just worry about yourself, but you're part of a group, and for yourself to have greater success, you need to help the group have greater success. So we see this in companies. We don't succeed unless the company is succeeding. We see it in team sports, where the team doesn't succeed, the individual doesn't really achieve great success unless the team achieves success. We've seen a lot of great stars, athletes in sports, who did really well individually, but their teams did poorly. And we don't think of those people are not seen as the same level of success as those others who help their team succeed. So he brings in this other element of team spirit. So you put those 3 things together: skill, which is something you work on and develop; conditioning, which goes with skill to make it last; and then bringing in this element of also having team spirit, not just being about yourself. Now you've got an incredible set of 3 towards building true success.
Thank you, Jonathan. And thanks for letting us know. We'll remember that this is favorite 3-layer structure for Jonathan, so we can always reflect, multiple times and get more clarity of it. Now we go to the 4th layer, and this is like, everybody, in every interview that we conduct, one of the things that we check for a candidate is confidence, whether the person is able to present, is able to tell about whatever he has or her accomplished, and show a certain bit of confidence. But poise is something that we don't really care about generally, or rather I don't care about many times. So it's like it's not sold entity generally compared to confidence. So again, I want to understand a bit. I was reading through, obviously, because I wanted to understand what poise means first. So in very short word, it was be ourself or be yourself. So be the second aspect was is not get unbalanced due to difficult conditions. And guess what? We face difficult conditions, right? We face difficult condition multiple times. For example, yesterday we completed the whole presentation, but we could not get feedback. It was a kind of a difficult condition because in between we need to have awards and then we have a e-staff meeting. So it's kind of a, now what do you feel? Because you're presenting the whole year report, but not getting the feedback because the time is over. And those kind of conditions, I mean, situations have came, difficult situation. I hope we have enough of difficult situations in last year at least. So Jonathan, on poise, please.
Yes, I think that, again, the teaching here from Coach Wooden's own reflection is that he intentionally made a pyramid that these things build, and that as you lay down, as you develop different parts and you lay them down, then you build up to a greater level of capability. And so having laid down all these other areas that we talk about, now you are going to be, if you were very good at all these different things we've been talking about so far, and you had enthusiasm and industriousness and loyalty and skill and team spirit, right? Now you have a lot going for you. That is going to take you to a certain level, but he says, well, to still be successful, you still need more. And poise is one of the main things then he's pointing out at the kind of the finishing touches of what we need to be successful. And among them is the ability to deal gracefully and well and calmly with varying circumstances. And in Coach Wooden's own life, this was one of the things he was most famous for, because we were talking about this earlier today, some of us, but if you watch sports, you mostly know that coaches and managers are known for jumping around on the sideline and getting upset and yelling at the referees or their players. There are coaches in the United States who are known for berating their players, and even one got in trouble for throwing a chair at his players, you might know. But Coach Wooden was known for walking in, rolling up his program, crossing his legs and sitting down, and basically sitting calmly and never moving the entire game, just sitting there very calmly and basically doing a little instruction on who should go in and out of the game when they would go in and out, because he developed poise and could deal with the situation. So we know that very many different things come at us in life, and ultimately, if we don't have the poise to deal with them calmly and think calmly and then apply all the other things we've developed, including our skill, we won't be able to have, then difficult circumstances might cause us not to succeed. So these are, now that we get to the top, these are very critical kind of final elements to success.
Thanks, Jonathan. And then we go to the one single block, which is on the fifth layer, which is the competitive greatness. Okay. Of course, while reading the book and while reading about the pyramid, what I understood by that is that a personality need that, let's say, as we say, hunger or fire, to really compete, because it's ultimately a choice, made by someone. It's not that someone is in career, so they have to do it, as a necessity. So I feel it's a lot to do with choice, but ultimately with a team, when we are working and when we are at a certain position, I think this become very, very important, that we are ready for that competition or the competitive greatness. So Jonathan, on that, if you reflect a bit, please.
Yes, the way I think of this is that anything you set out to succeed in, you, as Vaibhav just said, it's a choice that you would like to succeed at something, and when you make that choice by putting together all these other building blocks, the final piece is to bring them together and to say, I want to apply that, and I'm going to try to succeed in this. And that could be something personal, or it could be something as a group. We don't always think of that as competition. So if let's say you were trying to learn a musical instrument and you wanted to be a success at it, you wouldn't think of that as competition. And there is maybe nobody else there that you're trying to defeat, but the competition essentially in that case is within yourself or with yourself as to whether or not you are going to take it all the way to the end and keep working at it until you succeed. Because we could have all these other building blocks, we could have worked on them, but if we give up, if we say, well, I don't want to do this anymore, I quit, then I will not succeed. So I agree with you. This is the decision to engage and to continue at the end, to keep developing until you know that till through your own evaluation, you can say, I have succeeded, which kind of takes us to how he wraps this entire idea together.
Thanks, Jonathan. Takes to me couple of very, very important challenges or situations that we faced in last 4 to 5 years of our existence, that sometime we were at technically the lowest point of setting up something. We were asking ourselves that, okay, so there was serious questions from some serious members of the team, that okay, then are we going to do this really or not? Meaning, we have done something, we tried, let's say up to 25 to 30% we reached, but that 30% of the time that we have spent have gone to zero productivity, no faith in the system, nobody is really looking that something will happen. And then this fundamental question comes out, that okay, whether anything is going to happen or not, are you wasting my time? That kind of are you wasting my time of my career? That kind of questions come sometime, and they have came through us. Or sometime in a particularly, we have 20 of our freshers who joined us from the universities, and sometimes they also head to the bottom, the rock bottom, where we feel that they are useless, we should let them go. And then what happens is, in this pyramid of success, you see, if these are Lego blocks, if you just arrange all of them 5 4 3 2 1, because of some lateral movement, because of some jerk, because of an earthquake, it may fizzle out. The pyramid will be destabilized. And that's why there are two supports, I would say, on both sides of this triangle, which are patience and faith. Again, feels like I don't know, talking in a temple or something like this, some spirituality almost. But faith and patience are required in success. Okay. And I think I have experienced it already. Without this, it was definitely not going on. So Jonathan, I want to listen to you on this, because it seems like, we are almost touching spirituality here.
Well, I absolutely know that Coach Wooden was a a very spiritual person, and that helped build his foundation. But I would say that specifically what I believe he was trying to communicate is that this, as we've already talked about, success takes time and persistence. And you will not be able to succeed if you don't persist. And to persist, you need to ultimately have faith that you can succeed. That faith is partially faith in yourself, and it's partially faith in the universe that you can succeed. And you have to have patience, because there will be failures along the way, and success takes time. So I believe that, you know, what he was communicating is, first of all, a subtle communication that this will take time, and you will need persistence, and that faith and persistence will keep you going through the hard times to success.
Wow, I wrote this email, you know, when I wrote that this session is going to happen, and I was so happy because I wanted to do it always, you know, once you shared it. But I think I'm already feeling the happiness, the joy of it already. And thanks for that, Jonathan. And now we come to the most fundamental part, perhaps, you know. Okay, I mean, we are aware that people want to still know the abstraction. They still don't want to listen to all that building blocks of pyramid and all that. They will say, okay, tell me what is success, okay, and finish the story. So that's why Coach Wooden is famous as well, because he defined success by his own definition, in a kind of a initiative, I would say, because there were definitions of success written already. But you know, his definition of success is very famous, and as you know, or you might not know, you know, as Jonathan, you know, met Coach Wooden multiple times, because he already, you know, was at UCLA as well for studying, and because of some personal connection as well, which we can discuss just after the session. So I'll request those who are interested can, you know, be there, and we can finish the formal session, but we can still continue discussing some offline and some questions and aspects of it. But now we go to the most important point, which is definition of success, and that's which is on the top, and that's what Jonathan is having the personally signed copy that he you know, brought with himself from US to show all of us, you know, and that's how good Jonathan is. So Jonathan, you know, if you can please take around 10 minutes time, you know, to really go through the definition of success and how you read it yourself, you know, what is how it impacts you personally.
Sure. I don't know if we have something we can put up there too, but I'll read it off of here. Is that, yeah, if you click there, does it not do it? Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is probably Coach Wooden's summary of what is success. Is the most famous quote from him. I'll just wait to see if we can get it up there. Yeah, there it is right there. So success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. So it's very famous because he didn't say success is winning or defeating your opponent, or so it isn't an outward measurement. It isn't something that you're given by somebody else. It's peace of mind, which for probably all of us, we know is very hard to achieve. That peace of mind is elusive and difficult, and that he's saying that peace of mind he learns comes from essentially knowing fully that you've done your best. And so if we go back to the things we've discussed, his overall philosophy is that working in yourself on all these different aspects is how you will know these are all different aspects it takes to be successful. And the reason we do that is not actually that we will or won't succeed, meaning that in the basketball context, he knew in the end they might or might not win the game. And by the way, I watched all those games pretty much, or I was like 2 when that started, but I started to get to know Coach Wooden because my father is a huge sports fan, and starting when I was about 3 or 4 years old, he started taking me to every game, and I went from 4 years old through 15 years old, went to every single one of those games almost that was at home, that was at UCLA. And there were a few they lost, and there were many that they won barely. I mean, almost by luck, honestly. But Coach Wooden was always calm, and I absolutely know for a fact they lost a couple years, and I know for a fact that he behaved no different if they lost or if they won. And because it wasn't, in the end, the success wasn't about the winning or losing. It was that he knew that they had put in the effort to be the best they could be. And he knew personally he had done that. He felt the satisfaction and the peace in doing that he was okay then with the outcome. So this goes back to, well, why should I do all these things? Why should you worry about these things if you're working at a job or working in other elements of your life? Because in the end, you may do all these things and it may not be quite the result you expect. But what he's saying is that whatever the result, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you did your best and that will supersede, that will be success. And by the way, I think we do also know that by doing that, you've created the greatest opportunity that you will succeed, right? You have done that, and that's part of what you know. So it probably will be moving the odds and the results in your favor anyway, right? So you do get the benefit, but the truth is that, and I've thought a lot about this. This is why I consider Coach Wooden one of, there are some people in your life or things that you come across and you think, well, these are things you come back to and you think about as like role models or wise people whose wisdom you learn from. And certainly Coach Wooden, which is why I've shared it, has been one of those people in my life. And I come back to this and thinking about, because it obviously happens for me too, you get caught up in the winning and losing and the battle and were we going to succeed or not? And then I come back and think about this and really, no, it's about developing the peace of mind and knowing, thinking about, have I prepared? Have I done everything I can? Yes, I feel good about that. Now I'll accept the result. Right. And in the end, and this is, I do think because he was a very spiritual person, we know that the things we gain in life or the victories are temporary. They will go away. And so we are left with our own feeling about what we've done and not only done for ourselves, but brought to others. So this takes it to a deeper level. So I think this was this has been so widely shared by many people, and Coach Wooden is no longer with us. he passed away. It makes me sad to think about it. That, but this lives on very powerfully because it is such a powerful thought that's a different way to define success. So I think it's a great thing he's shared with us, and happy that we can talk about it and share it with others. Yeah, because it's worth thinking about. Yeah.
Okay. Of course, I can say thanks, which is a formal way of saying it, but I don't feel that for these kind of very nice discussion, we should even say thanks. We should not just try to return it, but rather absorb it, and don't ever return to the same person, perhaps return to someone junior 10, 15 years later. That will be the true thanks for this. Now, from here, we of course have utilized the allocated 1 hour, and I want to be honest and open for those guys who want to go through their business, or they have something which they want to go back for the meeting. But at the same time, I want to inform you that Jonathan, and there are some of very close friends of Jonathan have been in very close touch with Coach Wooden as well, especially towards the later part of his life. So he's having a lot of incidents or informations or feelings that he can talk through if you are interested, based on if we have any query from any one of you. And of course, on the whole pyramid of success, if there's any query, I think we can spend a couple of more minutes. But formally, we have utilized the 1 hour, and we have kind of, at least from one way or a conversational way, we have shared few things. But this should be also seen as a reason, as a hook, as a object on which we can tune again. Meaning, we can, any one of you can talk to Jonathan later on email if you feel don't have any query at this point. But if you have query, I would say take the opportunity right now, because that will be the best way to take this conversation. But thanks a lot for everybody. We'll keep the line open because we are recording the meeting. But formally, then, if you have any business, you can rejoin your old or the day job. Okay. So if there's any queries, I'll request you can ask. We have the mic. Anyone want to ask right now, or to, the way we can do as you want. Not in my hand now. Seems like it will be better to do offline the Indian way. Okay, so we'll switch off the meeting. We'll switch on the lights. I'll request Jonathan to be here for 10-15 more minutes. So we'll delay the next meeting, Amber, if it is planned. There's no meeting, so that we can have few queries. I think there are a couple of friends online, and they want to perhaps ask a question. Let's take. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Kapil. Thanks,
Kapil.
first of all,
Yes.
organizing this, and thanks, Alexander, for really giving us this detailed perception and guidance on the success. I have one quick question. I'm not sure how you will take it and how you'll answer it. For me personally, the way in which the uh, current social life is going, right? So especially I'll talk from a Indian context, because in India you can see we are hugely densely populated, and the opportunities are less. So people see success more from a materialistic point of view than really seeing it, as you mentioned. Mr. Woods also used to see it from a more spiritual point of view. What can be a real balanced situation wherein you are keeping both aspects, not only because without materialistic success you can't really think of other spiritual success also, right? So how you see that in today's time we really can keep that balance? Is it really possible to keep that balance, or is it really possible for people like Mr. Woods only? So a common person like me, or a common person like maybe colleagues like me, can also bring that balance in their day-to-day life.
Sure. Well, I think that is one of the reasons why I like Coach Wooden's philosophy and this pyramid of success so much, because I think that he tied together, and I think this is what he tried to do in his own life. And he tried to do this with this kind of philosophy or, direction that he gave people. It's to tie together personal success and success in the physical world, that it actually touches on both. So if you look at the different elements and think about what we just talked about, these are the elements of outward success. Of if you are trying to succeed in a career, if you looked at this pyramid and followed and tried to have the different things that are shown in this pyramid, these would be really good ways to think about how you should develop yourself as an individual to have career success. And again, as we've talked about, not just to worry about industriousness and skill, but also to think about initiative and intentness and cooperation and loyalty and enthusiasm and these other elements and poise. So, but then what he ties together is that this is also a recipe for inner success. So I think you can have, absolutely, I don't think you have to do one or the other. And honestly, if we believe this, then if you find yourself feeling like, well, I can only do one or the other, then it's probably that maybe the thing you're working in is not the right thing for you, or again, the definition of how you can tie your own personal success and spirituality in is hasn't been resolved. So hopefully this is a model that helps us find that. But I think this can be applied to career success for sure, and is a very apt model, which is why I shared it, and to team success, which is why I shared it last year at the kickoff to the team to talk about, this is very important for us to reflect on. How do we want to be successful at Tricentis? And I was specifically talking to the R&D team and saying, we want to develop, our goal is to know that we are doing the best we can do. And if we know we're doing the best we can do, really, honestly, then I promise everything else will work out. We'll be doing well for the business, right? So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely great. Thanks.
Good. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Kapil. Any other question online, or we then go offline and have our custom photo? Because I would love to have a photo with all of you coming forward. Any other online question, guys? Final 5 seconds. Seems like no. Okay. So thanks a lot. We stop the Zoom, and online we quickly switch on the light. We take a picture because then I know after that we'll be busy, and then we take few live queries with Jonathan, and we see the pyramid of success that Jonathan brought with him, signed by Coach Wooden already. It was so good that Jonathan brought it here in luggage very carefully because he was aware that we are going to have this session. So I don't know how to say thanks to this. I can't say thanks for this kind of job. Okay, so thanks a lot. We can clap for Jonathan.